Jake Paul versus KSI. I know it's a highly requested fight. I'm going to be doing a deep review of it. In this video, I'm going to be giving my predictions on the fight. I'm going to be breaking down each fighter and really just giving my take on everything. I want to quickly say before I jump into this video that I cannot stand Jake Paul. I really wholeheartedly dislike Jake Paul, and I've been a fan of KSI since I was in like 8th grade. Okay, I'm a senior now. KSI, if you happen to be watching this, 100K subscribers, is that too much to ask for? 100K, please. But none of my feelings towards either one of these men are gonna go into who I think is gonna win the fight. I'm not biased. I have watched a lot of boxing. I am a boxing fanatic, not as much as my dad, and we were kind of mad that two YouTubers were able to do what they did without even having a bunch of fights, and it kind of irked us a little bit, but eventually we saw the entertainment side of it. So I've watched numerous fights. I've watched Canelo Alvarez, I've watched Lomachenko, I've watched Manny Pacquiao, I watched the Floyd Mayweather fight, I watched Errol Spence Jr., Bud Crawford, Keith Thurman. So I watched a lot of boxing, and I pay attention. So when I saw that Jake Paul and KSI could be fighting, and I saw KSI's last fight and I saw Jake Paul's last fight, I thought it would be interesting to kind of talk about who I think would win. So jumping right into this video, the first thing that I want to talk about is boxing styles. Now, obviously, KSI is a brawler. You can't deny that. He's a brawler. He turns everything into a dogfight. He's going to get right up in your face. We know that. Now, Jake Paul is a boxer puncher or a counter puncher. Those go hand in hand. I would like to call him a boxer puncher / counter puncher, but you can take either two. It really doesn't matter. Jake Paul picks his shots. He picks what shots he wants. He fights smart. He's not going to brawl with you. He's going to pick his shot because Sugar Shane Mosley taught him to do that, which is smart. Now, with boxing styles, KSI being a brawler and Jake Paul being a boxer puncher, that's bad for KSI, because if KSI is fighting a dogfight and he's brawling with Jake Paul and Jake Paul is counterpunching and picking his shots, when KSI throws those wild overhand rights and overhand lefts that he does, Jake Paul can easily just catch him. So KSI, if you ever see this, please take my advice. Those wild punches in this fight, if they connect, it could be night over. But if they don't connect, then Jake can easily counter that, and that could lead to a loss. Boxer punchers and counter punchers usually have the advantage over people who like to get right up in your face, because those people throw very wild punches, and when you're throwing wild punches, you're putting all your energy into those punches, and you're not trying to fight smart. You're just trying to get that person gone. So if Jake is fighting smart, if he is picking his shots, and KSI is throwing those overhand rights and he's countering them, over time, that's going to affect KSI. So I think in boxing styles, I think KSI kind of needs to switch up his style just a little bit, but if he catches Jake Paul, it's an early night. Next thing I want to talk about is chins. We've seen from the KSI and Logan fight that KSI doesn't have a granite chin, he doesn't have a diamond chin, but he has a chin or less. He's gotten hit in his chin, he's gotten hit, and it hasn't really seemed to affect him. Yes, he got dropped by that uppercut, but with Logan holding the back of the head and getting hit, I don't know if I should really count that. I mean, it's kind of hard to do anything when your head is getting stuck right here and you're getting hit with an uppercut, because usually when you get hit with that uppercut, your head is going up. But with KSI, his head being pushed down, he's just getting hit with it flush. So, I can't really test his chin on that alone. Logan has hit him with some shots, and it didn't really seem to affect him all that much. I think Jake Paul's biggest argument is that KSI got dropped by Logan when it was the first real punch, and that is true, but then once again, he was holding the back of the head while he did it, so I can't count that. With this being said, though, Jake Paul's chin has never been tested. We don't know if he has a granite chin, we don't know if he has a diamond chin, or he has a brittle chin, a chin made of paper. We don't know, because Jake has always managed to get the TKO, and going to the later rounds is just something that he doesn't like to do. He likes to end fights with that TKO, and we haven't really seen any fighter who is going to hit Jake Paul as hard as KSI might. So I think that this will be the first time we see Jake's chin. If anybody's out there saying that Jake has a granite chin or his chin is really strong, you can't say that because we haven't seen Jake Paul get hit with a real shot. We haven't seen that. So as far as chins go, right now I'm going to have to give that to KSI. The next thing I want to get into is power. Now, I honestly don't think that power is going to have a major effect into this, and I'll tell you why. With Jake Paul being a boxer puncher, he's picking his shots, he's fighting smart, he's going to be looking to dodge, he's going to be looking to weave, and with that, KSI will be missing a lot. KSI will probably have more misses with his punches than Jake, just because Jake is picking his shots, and I think that power isn't going to really affect Jake as much because Jake is dodging a lot of that. Now, I'm not saying KSI is not going to hit him at all. That's obviously not what I'm saying, but I think that a lot of the power that was sent to Logan, which sent Logan scrambling to the floor, is not going to be reflected to Jake because I think with Jake Paul having a set form, he's going to be looking for KSI to throw those big overhand rights. And so if KSI's throwing it, he's moving, he's catching them, he's doing whatever it is he has to do. So I feel like when it comes to power, I feel like if Jake catches KSI with a counter punch, if it's powerful enough, it can send KSI to the canvas. The thing is it powerful enough? Now, KSI did say that Gib was a beast, that Gib was insane, that he would knock Jake out in the 5th round. And obviously that didn't happen. So if we're living by KSI's word, then Gib is a pretty good fighter, meaning that Jake Paul's power would have to be at least something good, because we've seen KSI's power against big boy Logan Paul, but we have not seen Jake's power really full force. The next thing I'm going to get into is heart. Obviously, KSI has a lot of heart. KSI hates to lose. I think they both hate to lose, but I think KSI just hates it just a little bit more. He has a lion's heart. He will get up. He will keep fighting even if he's hurt. It's a mentality that many boxers have, that especially Deontay Wilder has, where even if they're hurt, they want to continue fighting, and if it stopped, they're going to be upset. I think with KSI having the heart that he does, I think that it's going to lead to an early fight if KSI's heart has anything to say about it. As far as Jake's heart goes, I haven't seen his heart tested because he's getting everything done TKO. So like, once again, I can only tell you what I've seen and for myself, and what I can tell you is that Jake is winning by TKO. So I don't know how much of a heart he has. I think he's definitely dedicated, and I think that that's a lead motivation for him in this fight. The next thing I want to get into is pressure. I feel like Jake has more pressure on his shoulders because if KSI loses this fight, nobody's going to really care. KSI is still going to be pulling in numbers on YouTube. Yes, his fans might clown him on Reddit a little bit, but it is what it is. I don't think it's going to be this whole big thing, but if Jake Paul loses, he's going to get clowned on the internet. People are never going to let it go. So I think that Jake has this pressure on his shoulders to win against KSI. And KSI doesn't really have that pressure. So I think that from a pressure standpoint, I think that Jake is looking to win. He's going to fight with every single thing he has because he does not want to lose. He does not want to come out the loser. It was the same thing in the Gib fight. Jake was told that he was going to lose. They were telling him that he was a clown, that if he lost, it would be over for his career. And he came out with the first round TKO just to show people that he can really box and he can really do this thing. So I think as far as motivation goes and pressure goes, I think Jake Paul is definitely up in that category above KSI. KSI doesn't really have much to lose except a boxing YouTube title. So the next thing I'm going to get into is stamina. Stamina is a very important thing in a fight because if you can't go 12 rounds, and of course with them, I think it's 6 rounds when you're starting out, and then eventually it goes to 10 and then 12. If I'm not mistaken, I think their fight was 6 rounds, but KSI, he doesn't have the stamina. And I'll tell you why. It's because he's throwing these huge punches. When you throw like these wild overhand rights, like that's very unconventional, very unorthodox, it's gonna tire you. It's gonna tire you out. You're throwing these huge haymakers from Timbuktu. So when you're throwing these wild punches over and over and over again, it's going to tire you out quickly. That's why I think by like round 4 he was tired against Logan, breathing out of his mouth. that's bad. That's bad because if you're tired and the other fighter isn't, especially a fighter who's a boxer puncher, then when they get to countering, now your punches aren't as fast as they used to because now you're tired. So you're throwing these slow overhand rights. Now the boxer can see it happening. So if it's coming towards him, he's going to just move. He's gonna duck out the way. He's gonna hit you with that hook. He might hit you with an uppercut. And if that happens, then it could be over. It could be over just for that reason. Now your punches are slow. So I think that if KSI does happen to get tired, I think KSI needs to keep it with the jab. I think you just need to keep jabbing. I think you need to hit him with some straights. I think if you do that, you'll be fine. But throwing those big overhand rights, especially when you're tired, is not the thing to do because you're just going to be more exhausted, and it'll give Jake Paul more of a chance to catch you slipping. And as Teddy Atlas says, make him miss, make him pay. And you don't want Jake Paul to make you miss and make you pay because I feel like if he does, it could be wraps. With that being said, we haven't seen Jake Paul's stamina either. Of course, in the Deji fight, it was an amateur fight. But like I said, I'm counting all the fights. He looked kind of tired by like the 5th round, I think that was when he knocked out Deji. However, in this Gibb fight, he knocks out Gibb in the 1st round. So I haven't really seen Jake Paul's stamina, which is leading me right directly into the next part. The next part I'm going to get into is keys to win. So I'm going to give keys to win for KSI and keys to win for Jake Paul. So keys to win for KSI, KSI has to do is just fight smart. Fight smart. We know that you are a dog in the ring. We know that you fight very scrappy. You're a scrappy fighter. You have that Shane Porter style about you, which it's cool if the person is boxing. But I seen in the fight against Errol Spence, Shane Porter made that a very tough fight for Errol Spence. And Errol Spence is smart with his shots. He's very smart with his shots. And Sean Porter was just very scrappy, and it made it hard for him. So if KSI can execute it right, he can actually get all up in Jake Paul's grill and just keep Jake Paul backing up. That's what you want. You want to keep backing Jake up. But you don't want to throw too many haymakers because that's going to get you tired. So I think throwing some jabs, a couple of straights, catching them with some hooks, just try to fight smart, as smart as you can. Don't fight his fight, because then you'll make the mistake that Sugar Ray Leonard made against Roberto Duran in the 1st fight. Fight your fight, but fight smart as well. You don't want to get tired out by the 4th round, because if you do, Jake Paul might not be tired, and if he's not tired, like I said, he can catch you slipping. Keys for Jake Paul. I would say continue to fight your fight. However, do not underestimate KSI. Do not run in there thinking that, oh, this guy's bad, he's not going to catch me with anything. Because as you saw in the Manuel Marquez Manny Pacquiao fight, Manny was like, oh, this fight's over, it's done. And then he got caught, and then that was the end. So I think Jake definitely just fight smart. Don't approach KSI. Don't try to fight his fight. Don't try to fight scrappy. Fight your fight. Continue to be smart. Continue to be that boxer puncher, counter puncher. And KSI will come to you, make him miss, make him pay. That's how you're going to win the fight. Now, my predictions for the fight. Now, okay, I will say this, all right? Before I get into this, please do not get mad at me, okay, for what I'm about to say. Like I said, fan of KSI for a very long time. I'm not about to say that he's going to lose. Do not worry. Just listen to what I have to say. I think for the fight, I think that if it ends in a knockout, I feel like KSI will not knock out Jake Paul. I feel like it will not result in a knockout. I feel like Jake Paul is too smart of a boxer, especially with him being a boxer puncher, for him to get dropped, especially in the 1st round, as some people are saying. I think if KSI does happen to catch Jake Paul, then I think it's definitely in a late round where both men are tired. I don't think that Jake is going to get knocked out by KSI in the 1st round. With that being said, I don't think Jake Paul is going to knock out KSI in the 1st round, okay? Like, that's just not happening. I think people who are fans of both are like, oh yeah, Jake Paul is definitely going to knock him out in the 1st round. KSI is definitely going to knock him out in the 1st round. No. Just no. Like, come on. Like, if you're a boxing critic like me, somebody who likes watching boxing at its fullest, then I can look at these two people and just go, Jake is just too smart of a boxer, especially training with Sugar Shane, to really be getting hit like that against KSI. And KSI just has a chin that can protect him from that. I don't think KSI chin is weak enough for Jake Paul's power to drop him. You know, Jake Paul's dropping Gib, but who is Gib to KSI? If KSI and Gib fought, KSI would wreck Gib. So I think that Jake, his power, I don't think is just enough to knock out KSI. A TKO, maybe. I think he can hurt KSI. I think that he can definitely hurt KSI, but KSI can definitely hurt Jake. So I think that's where it gets a little murky. I will say though, if it does go to the scorecards and it goes to a decision, I think Jake Paul wins on the cards just because he's a smarter fighter. He's picking his shots. He's counterpunching, and judges like that. If they see somebody who's fighting smart, if they see somebody who's getting the more punches in, then they're gonna favor that fighter over the one who's just throwing wild punches and just throwing it. Getting hurt also plays a big factor. So I think that if it happens to end in a knockout, I think KSI is gonna be the one getting a knockout. And I know you guys are probably like, you said the same thing like 30 times in a row. Like, what are you doing? And you haven't even told us who you think is gonna win or who you want to win. Personally, I want the brother to win. I want KSI to win. I do. I want KSI to win because why wouldn't I? You know, it's like I'm supporting my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like black on black, got the bandana on. Like you know, I support KSI. I think that it will not end in a draw. It will not end in a draw. But with Jake being a boxer puncher and with KSI being a brawler, I think it will go to the cards. I don't think there will be a knockout. I think it'll go to the cards. I think Jake Paul will win on the cards. But if it ends in a knockout, KSI is definitely getting that knockout. So, like I said, KSI, I'm rooting for you. I'm not saying that Jake Paul is going to beat you. I am just simply saying that if it goes to the cards, I think Jake Paul wins on the cards. But knock him out. Knock him out. I literally broke this down as best as I could, you know, especially as somebody who watches a lot of boxing. And yeah, man, like I said, please get me to 100K. Is that too much to ask? Yeah, YouTube been a dream of mine for a while, and I'm just trying to hit 100K. So, I mean, I'll see you guys in the next one. If you guys want me to do any other fights, break down the Face Sensei Jake Paul fight, I'll do that. You just gotta let me know.